Here is the midday news. First, the top stories. National Assembly promises passage of a bill to empower states to fix wages. Ogun Assembly, state government head for a clash over Paris Club loan refund. NMA opposes proposed harmonization of salaries in the health sector. Bolaji Akinyemi asks presidency not to make public reports on NIA's 13 billion naira probe. And in foreign, Pakistan Army rejects Prime Minister's directive over a reporter's article. Good afternoon, I am Chienye Egwuonwu bringing you the details of the news shortly. Now the news in detail. Nigerian workers are today celebrating the May Day, and to mark the May Day, today has been declared a public holiday. In Abuja, workers converged at the Eagle Square with all the top labor leaders in attendance. Both the organized labor and the presidency are expected to table the separate agenda on workers' welfare at the event. The event is being replicated at the capital of the state's 36 states. The National Assembly says it will expedite work on a bill on the new National Minimum Wage Bill now before it. House of Representatives Speaker Yakubu Dogara, who makes the pledge in his May Day message, says the bill is necessary in view of the current inflation rate, the naira devaluation, and the rising cost of living. The bill seeks to vest each of the state governments with powers to fix wages for workers on their payrolls. The bill sponsor, Ayola Abdulkadri, wants the national minimum wage to be transferred from the exclusive list of the 1999 Constitution to the concurrent list to end the centralization of the decision on the wage. Already, the bill had passed the first reading in the House of Representatives and is set for the second reading. Meanwhile, the United Labour Congress, ULC, says it will mobilize workers to protest moves to remove the minimum wage from the exclusive to concurrent legislative list of the Constitution. The Congress President, Mr. Joe Ajero, made this known at the pre-2017 May Day seminar, which was organized by the Congress in Lagos. Ajero says the move is a plot to deny workers their right to live well, which according to him is what some of the state governors have been advocating for. He explains that if the planned delisting of national minimum wage from the exclusive legislative list succeeds, the country will no longer have a national minimum wage. The ULC leader recalls that the current minimum wage of 18,000 naira was signed into effect in 2011 by former President Goodluck Jonathan, subject to a review every 5 years. Ogun State House of Assembly is angry with the state government for refusing to provide it with the details of how it disbursed the 10.5 billion collected from the presidency as the refund of deductions to service the Paris and London club loan. The House had given the State Finance Ministry and Office of the State Accountant General in early March a 2-week deadline to furnish it with the details of the beneficiaries of the 10.5 billion naira. More than a month after the expiration of the deadline, the Assembly is still waiting for the list. The Finance Commissioner, Wale Oshinowo, while appearing before the Assembly last February 14, had told the lawmakers that the 10.5 billion was used to settle the 6 months out of the arrears of deductions from civil servant salaries and pensioners' gratuities. Oshinowo at the meeting promised to furnish the lawmakers with details of beneficiaries. The House issued the 2 weeks deadline early March after waiting in vain for the Finance Commissioner and the Office Accountant General to provide the promised details. And since the expiration of the deadline last March 25, a member of the House leadership told Rock City FM that the state government had promised 3 times to furnish the House with the list of beneficiaries of the fund, but failed to do so. The lawmakers demanded for the list after receiving petitions from former members of the State House of Assembly who served between 2011 and 2015, as well as the state's 20 local government pensioners and political office holders who claimed to have been left out of the list of beneficiaries. Governor Ibikunle Amoso had earlier in April promised to use part of the awaited second tranche of the Paris Club loan refund to clear the remaining deductions and gratuities while receiving the leadership of Nigeria Union of Journalists in his office. A private firm, Sino-African Investment Free Trade Zone Company, is to finance the construction of the 10-kilometer Lusada-Igbesa Road in the industrial area of Ogun State in the Yewa axis. The 5 billion naira road project is being implemented by the state government under the public-private partnership arrangement. At the completion of the road, motorists plying it will pay toll. Works and Infrastructure Commissioner Olamilekon Adebite made this known after signing the Memorandum of Understanding for the project with the company in Abeokuta. The commissioner explains that the road will be tolled for 15 years by the company in order to recover the fund it invested in the project, while the state government will collect 10% of the toll collected. Adebite says the road will be upgraded into a 4-lane rigid concrete road with median walkways, which will be completed between 6 to 8 months. The Nigerian Medical Association (NMA) has asked the presidency to shelve its planned harmonization of salaries of health workers in the country. The association made the call in a communique issued at the end of the 57th Annual General Meeting and Delegate Conference of the association in Calabar from April 24 to 29. NMA's president, Dr. Mike Ogirima, president who issued the communique, agreed that the health workers faced many hazards in the discharge of their duties, but says that their output could not be compared to doctors who perform the bulk of the medical services. Medical doctors, according to him, are highly skilled and few in the country, as the cut-off mark for medical students now is 280 and above. Ogirima says that NMA is not against moves to enhance the welfare of other health workers, but insisted that relativity should be maintained on the issues of salaries of health workers in the hospitals. Former External Affairs Minister Professor Bolaji Akinyemi has cautioned President Buhari against making public the outcome of the ongoing probe of the National Intelligence Agency over 13 billion naira found in a luxury flat in Ikoyi, Lagos. He also asks the House of Representatives not to go ahead with its planned investigation of the incident due to its security implications. Akinyemi, in a statement, advises that the report should be made secret for security reasons. The report of the presidential panel investigating the agency, according to him, should be shared only with President Buhari, the Senate President Bukola Saraki, and the Speaker, House of Representatives Yakubu Dogara. Akinyemi also wants that any of the NIA's officials found culpable should be quietly eased out and not tried in the public so as not to jeopardize Nigeria's external security. You are still listening to the Midday News on Rock City 101.9 FM. Up next, we bring you foreign, business and sports news. Please stay with us. Now in foreign, the front runner in the French presidential election has asked the EU to reform or face the prospect of Brexit. Mr. Macron added that if he were to allow the EU to continue to function as it was, would be a betrayal. Pro-EU centrist Emmanuel Macron made the comments as he and his far-right rival Marine Le Pen entered the last week of campaigning. Both Mr. Macron, who is leading in the polls by 20 percentage points, and Ms. Le Pen spent Sunday campaigning around France. French voters go to the polls on Sunday to decide between the pair. Pakistan's army has rejected Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's decision to sack an advisor over his connections to a reporter. The reporter wrote an article last year saying there is a rift between the civilian and military leaders over efforts to combat militancy. Saturday's strong reaction from the army spokesman, Major General Asif Ghafoor, came shortly after Sharif's order. The firing of Special Assistant on Foreign Affairs, said Tariq Fatimi. In a tweet, Ghafoor said the notification from the office of the Prime Minister was incomplete and it was not in line with recommendations made by an inquiry board that was set up to determine who leaked the information to journalist Cyril Almeida about a security meeting. The latest disagreement dates back to last year when Almeida in a front page article, claimed that civil authorities had asked the Inter-Service Intelligence Spy Agency to act against militants or face international isolation. Meanwhile, Pakistan's Interior Minister Chaudhry Nizar Ali Khan expressed his displeasure over Ghaffur's tweet, saying state institutions don't talk to each other by tweets. Next is the business news. 5 states are to build solar-powered mini-grid to improve electricity generation and supply to reduce the pressure on the national electricity grid. The plants are to be built by Ogun, Rivers, Kaduna, Imo, and Delta states in partnership with a France-based solar energy provider, Green Earlic. The French company Marcel Houtet says the solar power mini-grid will be fitted with panel produced in France with strong batteries, poles, network, and other components. Already, he explains that the pilot studies on the use of solar power on major highways, bridges, and streets had been done in Ogun, Imo, Rivers, and Delta states. Finally, in the midday news is the sports news. Chienye Egwuonwu expresses satisfaction with Sunshine Stars' 2-0 win over Nigeria Professional Football League reigning champions, the Enugu Rangers, on Sunday. Egwuonwu made his debut as the Oweda Wales coach and got a victory over the Flying Antelopes, thus propelling his side to 14th place in the log with 24 points from 19 matches. The former Super Eagles defender noted that although he was satisfied with his team's performance, he observed some lapses that need to be worked on ahead of the second round of the matches. Pescara's Sule Muntari has walked off the pitch in protest when a referee booked him after he claimed he was being racially abused during a league match. The former Ghana midfielder asked Daniel Minelli to stop Sunday's Serie A game at Cagliari, but he was instead booked for dissent in the 89th minute, prompting the former Portsmouth and Sunderland player to leave the pitch in protest. He angrily confronted Cagliari fans, shouting, "This is my colour." That was the midday news, and just before we go, the major stories once again. National Assembly promised passage of bill to empower states to fix wages. Ogun Assembly state government head for a clash over Paris Club loan refund. NMA opposed proposed harmonization of salaries in health sector. Balaji Akinyemi asked presidency not to make public reports on NIA's 13 billion probe. And on the foreign scene, we reported that Pakistan Army rejected Prime Minister's directive over a reporter's article. For more stories and to listen to us live, please log on to our website www.rockcityfmradio.com/live. Thank you very much for listening. I am Chienye Egwuonwu, and do enjoy the holiday. Happy New Month.